begin investing into my life of faith when I was in high school, beginning of high school. And it was through CARP, if any of you guys are also part of CARP. But during those 4 years in high school, I learned so much about like the fundamental things that, like about who God is and what our movement is and what true parents have really been trying to teach. I never understood really like until I joined this organization or this group. But actually, during those times, when I was on the external side, while I was attending all those workshops and events and volunteering, or maybe even doing like prayer conditions or bowings or readings with other brothers and sisters of mine, inside I felt like there was something like missing or something wrong. And I soon came to realize that it's because I'm a hypocrite. I felt that I was a hypocrite that would learn all these things and try to teach about true love and living for the sake of others and how to be a good person and you have to like build like a perfect family. Like I try to teach about these things, but truly, to be honest, I didn't believe in that, at least for myself. I felt that when I saw my other older brothers and sisters and first generations of this movement blossoming so much and building beautiful families, I felt like it's not something for me. I want it, actually. It's something that I think everybody desires deep inside their hearts. They want true happiness and true love, but I felt that I don't deserve it. And it's because I knew that I have hurt God a lot in my life. Maybe consciously and also unconsciously. I've hurt God many times, and I felt like I was like leading like a double standard life, because while I'm like doing all these things at church, the moment I got back home, I felt like my true side came out. And that was a time where I felt that I hurt God the most, especially through hurting my own parents. I couldn't think of like any of the principles that I learned during CARP once I was in the comfortable environment of my home, and I felt so ashamed of many things that I've done, and I didn't want like other people to find out that I'm like this kind of person. So I hid a lot, or I would come up to things, but I hid a lot, and I felt like I never truly shared about like who I am to anybody in my life, even towards my own parents who saw a lot of like faults of mine, fallen natures of mine, and I felt like it's impossible for me to be part of God's finale, to be part of like this family that God is trying to build. Maybe I'll just end up with like a family, maybe, hopefully, but maybe it'll be like a broken family. Maybe my own children will end up ignoring me or disregarding me just like what I did towards my own parents. That's what I felt. And so because I felt this way, I knew that the faith that I have in God right now is not what I really, really want right now. So I decided to do GPA. There's some GPA brothers and sisters. GPA is a missionary bachelor program where you can really dedicate yourself to just finding more about yourself and developing yourself. And I ended up doing 2 years there. So I was there for 2 years. And I can say that it was a lot happened. A lot of challenges that I never asked for came up. A lot of like crazy things that I had to do that I also never asked for, but I had to do, and I felt like like going out like every single day, even though like you're sick, or even though like if you don't feel like it, like being asked to try to take care, or trying to love other people was very difficult for me. And anyways, but I did grow a lot, and my older brothers and sisters on that program helped me so much. so much for me to recognize my own value and also about who God is. And I decided during the middle of my second year that, okay, I'm gonna go home after this and then I will help out with cardigan. But the moment I made that decision, I started to become really scared. I became scared because I felt like when I go back home, the person that I was before is gonna come back. And this is the version of myself that I hate so much, that I would want to kill up and forget about and pretend that it never happened, but it still happened, and I was still that kind of person. And I couldn't let it go. And I remember those kind of feelings grew more and more and more. And then at one point, my prayers to God were just prayers of apology. I couldn't say anything to him other than, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. That's the only thing that came out of my mouth. And it was really painful because I felt like no matter how hard I tried, no matter how many conditions I set, no matter how much I prayed or tried to love others or try to understand God and your parents, that I will never be able to stand in front of them as a pure child. And that's something that hurt me a lot and made me scared of for the future. And I felt like maybe I'm gonna end up living, like I'll try to live a good life, but in the back of my heart, I still have this weight and dread and shame and fear. I'm just gonna end up living with this for the rest of my life. That's what I determined to do, actually. Maybe I'll just live like this. It's okay. It's too late. That's what I thought. But when I shared this with my older sister, she's not here, but she was just right here, Sarah and me. She helped me a lot during this time. But she mentioned to me the idea of doing the most scariest thing that I would have ever thought of doing in my life, which is doing a life confession to my own parents. And I don't know if you guys know what that is, but life confession is just sharing everything that you've done in your life that may have hurt God. All your sins, all your regrets, everything that you really want to share, that's what you confess. And I have done it before, but it was with like a staff that didn't really know me well, so I didn't mind. I didn't mind sharing these things. But with my own parents, when it came to my own parents, I felt so scared. I felt like many young people here, I'm sure your parents have had to sacrifice many things for you guys. They had to leave all their possessions and their hobbies and what they're maybe passionate about, and even their own family they have to leave behind so that they can go out into the bigger world and work for God's providence. And knowing that my parents had to do that for me to be born, for me to be experiencing these things, I felt so ashamed, and I didn't want to tell them. I didn't want to tell them at all of everything. But I think the thing that made me feel the most determined, it's the thing that I would rather die than doing. The thing that changed my mind is thinking about my own future family. Because maybe I can survive living with guilt and shame for the rest of my life, but what about my own children? If I have my own sons and daughters, I don't want them to feel like they have to hide themselves in front of me or in front of God, because a child is still growing, and I didn't want them to carry the same burden that I do, so I have to overcome it during this time that I have. And I am still growing, and I am still young, so I felt that it is now. I have to do it now before I go back home. So anyways, I set a lot of conditions for it, and I told my parents beforehand, like, there's something that I really want to share. And even then, like during that, like I telling them that I want to share with you something, I was already crying so much, couldn't stop the tears. But yeah, anyways, a week later after that, I was on a fundraising condition. I was leading a team, and they were out fundraising during the evening, and I was inside my van. And then I had to make the phone call to my parents, and I wrote everything out, actually. I wrote it like a letter so that I don't miss anything and that I don't get nervous and like miss things or like blabber too much or like become too scared to not say it. So I wrote it out as a letter and I read it out to them. And the thing that they said, or my expectation was that they'll be disappointed in me. Maybe that's the thing that I was scared of the most, disappointment. Disappointing my own parents and God and true parents. But the thing that they told me at the end of it all was, thank you so much for telling us. And I was like, why are you thanking me? Like, I felt like I didn't do anything. Yeah. I didn't do anything, and actually, after that life confession, I didn't feel satisfied. Actually, I felt like, oh, like, I just said it, but like, it didn't really change anything. But after praying about it and reflecting about it, and especially like looking at it now, at my life right now, I felt so grateful because my parents didn't forgive me, or they didn't get mad, or they didn't feel disappointed, but instead they accepted it. And it's like as if they were waiting for me to say all these things and share and open up to them. And I realized that it's not because, of course my parents love me a lot, but it's not just that, but it's also because they understand who God is, and they understand your parents' heart more than me. And that's why they were able to give me those words, the words that they did. And yeah, because your parents taught us about God's love, that's why so many of you guys are able to love the way that you do, because they first showed us of who God is to us. And yeah, I felt like when God first created this world and created Adam and Eve, and also eventually every single one of us here, He didn't create us so that we can lead a life of misery and of shame and loneliness. He created us because He had such high hopes for us. He created us because He loved us so much and wanted to see us blossom to become true people and true families, and also to become better than God. That's what He originally intended. But often, so many times, we just strap ourselves to what we think we feel bad for, who we think we are. And I felt like it was the first time that I felt like so much grace from Heavenly Parents and from true parents who showed me that it's possible for you to also become like me, or to become a true person, and to experience true love. And everybody deserves true happiness in their life. So I was really grateful that your parents never gave up in their endeavors, and that eventually reached my parents and then to me. It's been a year since then. The life confession was April 17th of 2023, so it's been a year. And I can say with confidence that ever since then, I haven't had like this feeling of, or whenever I'm doing mission work or church activities, I don't feel like shame anymore. Because back then I used to feel like I'm doing all these things, but deep inside I'm still this person. But now I feel like determined to, because God already forgave me, because He already gave me His grace, it's okay for me to move on. It's okay for me to forgive myself. And it's so liberating to feel that all the shackles that has been tied onto me is like finally let go. And Actually, after I did the life confession, like right after, I wrote a small message for like young people that might be going through like the same thing. And I felt like maybe I can share it right now because it was always in my notebook. Yeah. So this is what I wrote. For those, maybe you're really scared inside. You feel shame, guilt, fear somebody will find out about this part of me. I don't want to face disappointment. I want to figure things out on my own. But no, Eve was supposed to consult God after the fall. She was supposed to seek Him instead of trying to resolve the feeling of dread on her own. Or else, this fear and guilt will just multiply. I know it's a really big step, but once you're able to just be vulnerable and share everything, you'll realize that you're still a child who is still in their growing stage. So I hope you can receive God and your parents' grace. Yeah, I realize that in front of God, I'm still a child, still growing. Even right now, I'm such an imperfect person, so many different faults to overcome. But right now, I can say with confidence that I'm able to do the things right now because Heavenly Parent encourages me to move forward. Yeah, eventually to be this loving sister to all of you guys, and also to be a filial daughter, and eventually to become a wife and a mother to another. Yeah, thank you so much.
I really think that the beauty of her testimony is just her honesty, really sharing, right? To really being, showing everything to God and receiving that love of God to become a pure water again. And when I met Mother, right, she told me one thing when I went to Korea with a brother. She told me that anybody can be pure water. Anybody. It's not first generation, second generation, third generation. Yes, those generations may be important for your building the foundation deeper and deeper. But what does it mean is that generation doesn't have the heart for God, right? I think the most important thing she tries to tell us is, do you have that love for God? That one thing, right? We're all different. We all have our own ways we portray our love, and that's fine. There's no right or wrong. Some people might be outgoing. Some people might show it through their music, their writing, their own personal time with God. But now we're going to sing this song called Firm Foundation. And I want to tell you that during this song, we're going to do a prayer. But I don't want you to think that the way you show your love to God is wrong. This is your time to really be honest to God and really receive that love from God. This is your time to really feel like you're the child that God has really been waiting for. And so I want us all to rise up, right? It doesn't matter the way you show it. It's just how you